My parents texted, "We no longer trust you," and changed the locks. I canceled their $4,800 monthly mortgage payment I'd been covering for years. 2 days later, their lawyer called in a panic. The text came in at sharp. "We changed all the locks on the front door, including the gate code. We no longer trust you." Just like that. Cold, corporate, as if they were firing me from being their son. I stared at those words for exactly 30 seconds. Not because I was shocked. Deep down, I'd been expecting this moment. What caught me off guard was how clean it felt, how final. Like they'd rehearsed it all night and finally decided it was showtime. My response was just as simple. Understood. But what they didn't understand was that I had already anticipated this nuclear option. See, my parents and sister Marissa had been playing a dangerous game for months. They'd been systematically cutting me out of family decisions while keeping my wallet wide open. Classic financial abuse disguised as family obligation. The house they just locked me out of? The one they gave to my sister because she had grandchildren and I only offered disappointment. I'd been paying the $4,800 monthly mortgage on that property for the past 4 years, not contributing to, paying entirely, plus utilities, insurance, property taxes, and every emergency repair that came up. Here's what they forgot. I'm a financial analyst at a Fortune 500 company. I don't make emotional decisions with money. I make strategic ones. I opened my banking app and did something I should have done years ago. I canceled every automatic transfer going to that household. The $4,800 mortgage payment, the $340 utility coverage, the $280 insurance premium, all of it. Gone with 3 taps on my phone. Then I called my buddy Derek, who happens to be a real estate attorney. Derek, hypothetical question. If someone's been paying a mortgage for years but the property was gifted to someone else, and now they're being excluded from that property, what's the legal position? Whose name is on the mortgage documents? Mine. Everything financial is in my name. Then you have significant leverage. The property might be in their name, but if you're the one legally obligated for the debt, you have serious negotiating power. Want me to draft something official? Not yet. Let's see how fast they figure out what just happened. I didn't have to wait long. 48 hours later, my phone rang. Unknown number, professional tone. Mr. Jordan Blake, this is Philip Grant from Hartwell and Associates. I'm calling on behalf of your parents regarding some urgent financial matters. We need to schedule a meeting immediately. I almost laughed. They'd hired a lawyer before they'd even tried calling me directly. I'm sorry, but I'm not interested in meeting about this. Sir, I don't think you understand the gravity of the situation. There are significant financial obligations that need to be addressed. Oh, I understand perfectly. The gravity is that I've been covering $5,420 in monthly expenses for people who just informed me I'm no longer trusted or welcome. Seems like they should have considered the gravity before changing those locks. Silence on the other end, then. Perhaps we can find a mutually beneficial resolution. Perhaps they should have thought about that before treating me like an ATM with legs. But let me back up, because stories like this don't start with betrayal. They start with love, or at least the performance of it. They begin with a kid who keeps saying yes because he believes that someday, somehow, it'll matter. That someday they'll say thank you. That someday he'll actually be family instead of just the funding source. I'd been their personal financial institution for 4 years straight. When Marissa's credit cards got maxed out, I paid them down. When her car needed repairs, I covered it. When daycare got too expensive, I sent cash. Just until she figured things out. 3 years later, she was still figuring things out. And I was still sending money. The arrangement started innocently enough. Dad lost his job right before they were supposed to help Marissa with a down payment. I stepped in temporarily, or so I thought. Just until we get back on our feet, Mom said. Family helps family. That was $260,160 ago. My salary as a senior financial analyst is $140,000 annually. I live modestly, save aggressively, and I've never missed a payment on anything in my life. I had the resources to help, so I did. What I didn't realize was that temporary help would become permanent expectation, and that my generosity would somehow transform me into their personal charity case. The first crack in the foundation appeared 3 months ago. I was scrolling through Facebook when I saw the photo that changed everything. Marissa, my parents, and her kids standing in front of the house I was paying for, holding a sign that read, "Home Sweet Home, Marissa's House." My mother's caption read, "So proud of our daughter for building a future we can all share. This home is in the right hands." Marissa's house, right hands. No mention of me, no tag, no photo credit, not even a passing acknowledgement like, "Grateful for Jordan's support." Just them smiling on a porch I'd been funding for years. The comments were brutal. "She's such a strong woman. You raised an amazing daughter." "Marissa deserves every inch of that house," my aunt even chimed in. "Marissa, you've earned this. You deserve all the happiness in the world." I wanted to comment, "Actually, I've been paying the mortgage, but sure, she deserves it." Instead, I screenshot the post and saved it in a folder I was starting to call evidence. A week later, I called the bank to verify that the mortgage was still in my name. It was, but then the representative casually mentioned, "I see there was a request submitted to change the primary contact to a Miss Marissa Blake. The paperwork is being processed." My heart stopped. "What kind of paperwork?" "Transfer of primary borrower responsibility. But don't worry, it didn't go through because she didn't meet the income requirements." Of course she didn't. Marissa worked part-time at a boutique and made maybe $18,000 a year. There was no universe where she could qualify for a $4,800 mortgage payment. That's when I checked my bank statements more carefully and discovered an unauthorized $2,400 charge on a credit card I'd given her access to 2 years ago for emergencies. When I confronted her, she said, "Jordan, don't make this a big deal. We needed groceries and the kids needed shoes. I thought we were still sharing resources." Sharing resources, as if I'd ever gotten anything in return. My mother's response was even worse. "Honey, Marissa's going through a lot right now. She said she'll pay you back. Let's not start a family war over a few $100s. A few hundred? It was $2,400. And when had Marissa ever paid me back for anything? Then came the family group chat incident. Someone had renamed our chat from Family Updates to Blake Family Circle and uploaded a meme. A cartoon man handing over his wallet with the caption, "Big Brother Energy, pays now, asks never." My cousin commented, "Tag Jordan." Then, "Yo Jordan, can you cover my student loans too while you're at it?" Even my father joined in. "Only if he renames his firstborn after the bank. Gotta keep the donor happy." I stared at that screen for 5 full minutes. Not one person defended me. Not even a balancing joke. Just them turning my generosity into their entertainment. I left the group chat. They added me back. I left again and blocked everyone. But the real breaking point came on a Friday afternoon. I was mowing their backyard, which I'd been maintaining for 3 seasons because, as Dad put it, it's not worth paying someone when you're around anyway. When the mower started acting up, I took a water break and heard voices through the open kitchen window. Marissa was laughing. "Did you see his face when I told Aunt Karen the house was mine? He didn't even blink, like a puppy just happy to sniff the plate." Mom giggled back. "It's almost done. Once the paperwork goes through, he won't be able to say anything. He's the one who insisted on keeping everything in his name. That's on him." Then Marissa again. "Honestly, it's better this way. He's always been distant, like a guest with a wallet." And then the words that sealed everything. "Mom, he's not family anymore. He's just a sponsor." Just a sponsor. I stood there with the water bottle in my hand, letting those words sink in. Not family, a sponsor. Like I was some corporate entity funding their lifestyle out of obligation rather than love. They had no idea I was listening. No clue I was standing right there absorbing every casual, cruel word. But in that moment, something fundamental shifted in my chest. Not rage, not hurt. Just cold, analytical clarity. If I was just a sponsor, then it was time to review this particular investment's performance. And frankly, the returns had been terrible for years. 3 weeks later, an invitation arrived in a cream-colored envelope with gold trim. "Please join us in celebrating Diane Blake's 60th birthday. 60 guests, full catering, slideshow presentation, a real legacy event. I didn't RSVP. I just circled the date in red and started preparing. Instead of a gift, I spent those 3 weeks creating a comprehensive financial audit. Every payment I'd made over 4 years, every mortgage installment, utility bill, insurance premium, and emergency repair. Every maxed out credit card I'd cleared, every temporary loan that became permanent, every crisis I'd solved with my checkbook. The total was $260. I organized everything chronologically with bank statements, canceled checks, and transfer receipts. Each line item included the date, amount, and purpose. I saved digital copies on 3 different drives and printed a hard copy that came to 127 pages. I also did something else. I used my phone to record that conversation from the kitchen window. "He's not family anymore. He's just a sponsor." Their own words, in their own voices. The party was exactly what I expected. White linens, gold balloons, a slideshow of family memories where I appeared in maybe 6 photos out of 200. I arrived 15 minutes late and took a seat in the back row. Marissa gave the opening speech about family, sacrifice, and legacy. The screen behind her showed a photo of the house with the caption, "Built with love, passed down with purpose." No mention of who actually built it with mortgage payments. Then Mom took the microphone for her toast. "I'm so proud of my daughter Marissa. She's shown what family legacy really means, and I'm grateful that our home, our true home, will stay in the right hands." Applause, smiles, until I stood up and walked calmly to the front. "I wasn't planning to speak tonight," I said, approaching the microphone, "but since we're talking about legacy, let's do some math." I clicked a button on my phone, the Bluetooth connected to their projector system. I'd tested it earlier while they were greeting guests. The audio started playing through the speakers. "He's not family anymore. He's just a sponsor." Marissa's voice. "Like a puppy just happy to sniff the plate." Mom's laughter. 60 guests went silent. Someone dropped a wine glass. I clicked again. The screen changed to show bank statements, transfer receipts, mortgage payments. 4 years, $160. Every mortgage payment, utility bill, insurance premium, and repair cost for that house you're so proud of. Then I held up the printed document. 127 pages, every transaction documented. If this house now belongs to Marissa, then I'm here to present a bill, not a gift, a debt. "Are you serious?" Marissa's voice cracked. "Dead serious," I replied, "unless you want to call it theft." "It was a gift," Mom snapped. "Funny," I said, moving closer to the microphone. "I don't recall signing any gift documentation, but I signed every one of these checks." That's when my grandfather walked through the front door. He hadn't said a word to anyone, just appeared like he'd been planning this moment for months. He walked straight to the front, took the microphone, and looked out at the 60 guests with absolute calm. "You raised a thief," he said, staring directly at my father, "and a coward. You tried to bury your son in silence, but the thing about mud is, it doesn't hide footprints very long." Then he looked at me. "The trust is yours now, the one your father tried to redirect behind your back. I changed it last week. Marissa's name has been removed entirely." The room erupted. Mom's face went white. Marissa grabbed a chair to steady herself. "You want a legacy?" Grandpa asked, looking back at them. "Earn it the hard way." He literally dropped the microphone and walked out. I placed my printed invoice on the gift table between the wine and family photo albums. "You changed the locks," I announced loud enough for the back row to hear. "I changed the terms. I'm not your sponsor anymore. I'm your creditor." Then I walked out. No cake, no handshakes, no looking back. The next morning brought 57 unread texts. "Mom, you embarrassed me on my birthday. You humiliated your own blood." "Dad, I don't care what you think you're owed. You won't see a dime." Marissa posted a black Instagram story. "Some wounds come from those who were supposed to heal you." But someone else had been paying attention. 2 days later, that lawyer called back. "Mr. Blake, my clients would like to discuss a financial resolution. They're interested in avoiding any publicity around this matter." I leaned back in my chair. "Let me guess. They want to pay half of what they owe in exchange for my silence?" "That would be reasonable, given the informal nature of the original arrangement." I almost laughed. "Philip, I have every receipt, every bank transfer, and audio recordings of them admitting what they did. They've got 72 hours to pay the full amount, or I file a public claim with all the evidence attached. Silence. I'll relay that message. Exactly 72 hours later, my bank account showed a wire transfer for $160. Full amount, labeled settlement payment, no further liability admitted. It didn't come from my parents or Marissa. The sender was a private business account I didn't recognize, probably a loan from one of Dad's friends, or maybe they'd mortgaged something else. Either way, they'd found the money remarkably quickly when faced with public exposure. I printed the wire confirmation, saved it in multiple places, and filed everything away. I didn't call to thank them or confirm receipt. This wasn't about making peace. It was about getting paid. A week later, I posted a video online. Clean background, calm delivery. Some people say closure is about forgiveness. For me, it was about a wire transfer. $260,160. That's what 4 years of silence, compliance, and funding someone else's dream cost. They called me family, then called me sponsor. Now they can call me settled. The post went viral. Therapists shared it. Adult children of toxic families sent messages saying it inspired them to set boundaries with their own financial manipulators. One guy messaged that it encouraged him to stop paying his mother's car lease after she'd been treating him like an ATM. My father left one last voicemail. So that's it? You think money fixes everything? You think you've won? You're no longer part of this family. I deleted it without listening to the end. They'd changed the locks. I'd changed the game. Now I live in a clean, modern apartment with massive windows and complete silence. No family group chats begging for favors. No late-night calls about emergencies. No guilt trips disguised as concern. People ask if it hurts to be done with them. It doesn't. Because the truth is, I'm not done with them. I'm free from them. Freedom cost exactly $260,160, worth every penny. I don't feel lighter, I feel clearer, because peace isn't always about weightlessness. Sometimes it comes with gravity, the solid, grounded knowledge that you're finally on your own side. My mother once told me, "If you ever left us, we'd fall apart." She was right, they did, but I didn't. I'm not broken, bitter, or waiting. I'm just finished. And that's the difference between justice and revenge. Justice knows when to stop.